Hi there, this is Don.
And this is Phil.
And together we're the Everly Brothers.
Pleasure to have you guys with us and, take this time with us. Over the next hour, we are going to look through some of your musical material in the past, and everybody asks you where it all began, and I think it's probably a corny line, but people are interested. Where did it all begin for the Everly Brothers?
Well, it began as the Everly family years ago. I would say I was in Iowa. We had our first radio job as the Everly family. Mom and Dad were country singers, and we sang country music and gospel music, early morning radio when they had live entertainment, before records and television.
Before television.
It was just before the Second Crusade.
Yeah,
in the moats and in the thralls.
That's the way it really sort of started, and then when live radio, as we were doing it, sort of died out, we branched off into records.
How did it happen, though? I know you were telling me in the club the other night about 1955 when the radio show with the family or 54, whatever it was, came to an end. What made you, or what prompted you to go into records yourself?
Well, just right about the time the radio shows did sort of die out, Chet Atkins came into Knoxville, Tennessee, where we were working at the time, listened to some of the songs that we had written, and suggested we come to Nashville. And he would see what he could do as far as a record contract was concerned. So we went over there to Nashville and we wrote some songs for some country acts. Katie Wells had a hit that we wrote.
What was that one?
It's called "Thou Shalt Not Steal."
Oh, I remember that.
You've
done it. Was that the same one that Dick and Dee did?
No, it's a different song.
Different thing.
No, this was, I guess, in 54 or 55 that she recorded that. It was right after the very big smash hit "One by One." Remember her and Red Foley?
Yes, I do. Right.
It was the follow-up to that. And it did quite well.
Louisiana Hayride at one time. They both were on. I think it was the name.
Well, anyway, that sort of gave us a little bit of financial backing, enough to get us in a union, buy us a suit of clothes, and get us over in Nashville so we could audition.
I'd hate to ask what you were wearing up to that point.
Yeah, well, it was, we had a
Tarzan's loincloth.
Yeah. T-shirts and jeans.
Bye Bye Love, am I right in assuming this was written by Boudleaux Bryant?
That's right.
I don't even have any notes on that. It's just that this fellow seems to write so many things. I remember back in the, Don, you particularly around my age, 19, would remember Hey Joe with Frankie Lane, or I think the Country Field had Hey Joe too, and that was a Boudleaux Bryant.
Yes, it was.
Carl Smith originally had it.
Did you have any problems? I know when this all began for you guys, a lot of people said, well, they're country singers. However, people like Presley were on the scene, and Johnny Cash particularly, and they were selling things. Did you run into any problems?
Well, at the time, that was the time when anybody with a guitar, first of all, the public really said, well, maybe that's a banjo. They're not too sure yet, whether it's a guitar or banjo. And anybody with a guitar was considered country singer and was supposed to wear Western clothes, which Phil and I hated. We weren't cowboys, and we didn't feel like cowboys.
Didn't want all the sequins.
No. We thought about it, but we didn't really care for that as much, and our hair was kind of long too at the time, and which sort of took you out of the cowboy field.
Hey, we'll move that ashtray over a little bit.
And then the first song, "Bye Bye Love," that we recorded went pop.
It was a giant too. What did it sell? Do you happen to know?
About 1.5 million.
That's in the States.
With Archie Bleyer.
Yeah.
With Archie Bleyer, I was just wondering, being the fact that you recorded for his company for a few years, I don't think the company's in existence anymore, is it?
No, it's not. He has, I guess, disbanded the company. They had the first they had ours, and then they had Andy Williams, the first family album. Well, by the way, Archie is Phil's father-in-law.
Is that right? How's your daddy-in-law?
Oh, he's fine. He still lives in New York, but he's not running a record company anymore.
He's not. You were mentioning, too, the other night at the club that he does something in England, or did something in England. What was that?
Well, he went there. I don't remember.
Oh, no, I remember. It was the films you were talking about.
Oh, we did. That was in 1958 with Andy Williams, the Chordettes, and Don and I. Archie Bleyer took the whole label to Europe and did a series of like promotional films, and it just so happened last year I saw that film in Stockholm, one of the ones we have done, and it was kind of funny to see because Andy was then, Andy now has his own television show, but at that time, it was just sort of funny to see him,
I think that a lot of the people feel that the country thing is so big today, and I think that people like you are responsible. Another area I was going to get into is the fact that I think the Everly Brothers, without saying this just because you're here, I think a lot of people in the business realize that your act was responsible for so many other acts to be able to do what they have done. In other words, groups or two people, I love the Kalin twins when they were around, or the Righteous Brothers who are still around today. I think you fellas cut the way for this, made it
At the
acceptable.
time, I've thought about that a little bit, and at the time, I remember I sort of thought, well, maybe two people was sort of, a group sound. When we first came out, it wasn't necessarily the thing that was really happening. It was like Elvis and
It was single
Frank,
idols.
single idols.
Right.
Was what was happening. And I thought, well, maybe this is holding us back. But I think in the long run, the long stretch, it was the best thing.
Matter of fact, I would say that your harmony even preceded and was a sort of an indication for people like the Beatles to get off the ground when you really get down to it. Now, you're not going to say that, but I'm saying that.
All right.
If you want to go back even further, though, Red, I think that really the main one is when it comes to Presley. Because Presley kicked down every door there was, every bar against, because that was the bridge between, well, even further is Bill Haley. But that's the bridge between kind of a southern kind of music and pop music.
Matter of fact, when I first heard Elvis in about 1954, I thought he was a colored singer. I really did. Singing country. I couldn't figure it out. And then, of course,
It was
it
an odd
evolved.
combination, yeah.
It evolved into what it is today. But I just think of the other groups. Matter of fact, I don't know if you were ever aware of a record called Just to Be Loved with two fellows. I don't know anything about them a few years ago, called Curtis and Dell. When I first heard this record, I was riding in my car and I thought, gee, the Everly Brothers have a new one. These fellows sounded like you. I guess this is a thing that happens all the time with entertainers who have made it. Other people come along and emanate the sound or whatever.
It's a form of flattery, though. I think that that's necessary to sort of sustain yourself for other people to try to imitate or do your songs in the sound. I think that
A lot of times, too, though, it's just a matter of they're listening to music and it's influencing them subconsciously, really. It's not even conscious, and it just sort of comes out that way. And because people have a tendency to do what's happening,
Well, it's Sunday night, and I was just thinking another fellow from Nashville's in town tonight, and his name is Roy Orbison, and Roy composed a song called Claudette, which both of you recorded. I think it was for Archie Bleyer at the time. Is there any story on this, or did it just fall into your hands, Claudette?
Oh, well, we were doing a show. I forget exactly where. I think
outside of Chicago.
in Illinois or Indiana, somewhere along in there. And Roy was on the show, and between shows, I think we were all sitting in the dressing room, and Roy sang the song Claudette to us. And we said, great, we want to record it. And
Come
he
on to
says,
Nashville.
Come on to Nashville. And so he proceeded down to Nashville, and we cut the song Claudette.
So many times I've met Roy over the years. He has to be the shyest guy I've ever met.
One of the nicest,
Yes,
too.
Really,
He's
yeah.
a very nice person. He's very quiet.
As with most entertainers in the 60s, the road seems to be, the thing you either look forward to or put up with. What is the case with the Everly Brothers? You've been all over the world, I imagine. I've been reading.
Yeah, sometimes it's you look forward to it, and sometimes, like you say, you put up with it. But all in all, I think it's probably... I didn't get to go to college, and I wish I had of course, but I think that the traveling and education that I received on the road is some equivalent. I won't get a Bachelor of Arts, but...
Isn't it pretty hard, though, Don and Phil, when you wake up one morning and you say, where am I? I mean, you must do this because...
Well, I say that at home, so it's not...
You have bad mornings, but no, beside that, I mean, you get into a town and people say, first thing, a guy will greet you at the plane or wherever and say, what do you think of our town? And you're seeing it, from the airport, which is 60 miles out, and how can you become involved this way? I mean, how do you answer questions like this? You're just polite or what?
I don't know. When you're in town one day, it is difficult, but like we're going to be in Vancouver, I think a total of 10 days, and you do get to know the town. And
About the fifth day, you
About
get
the
to know where
fifth
you're
day.
at,
You just get settled and you have to pack up and
I went
leave.
down to Hudson Bay yesterday, looked around.
Looked around, bought some stuff. Oh, well. Price of Love was a song I was going to talk about because, in my opinion, that is the new sound of the Everly Brothers. And the sound has changed because, Don, you mentioned the first day you got in, you were driving in your car, and you heard me play Hey Doll Baby. Hey Doll Baby, remember that?
Yes,
we
I did.
cringed.
We
No, but
cringed.
why? Would you explain this to the people
Well,
listening to
that was off the first album, and that particular cut in the album was not meant to really be.
It stinks, is what
It
he's trying to
stinks,
say.
first of all, but it wasn't really meant to be in the album, and it was sort of like a preliminary sketch of what we were going to put in the album. Not that the rest of the stuff was all that great, really, as far as
Should We Tell Him was on that album?
There were some good things in it, but Hey Doll Baby I think was the worst.
And I played it.
And you played it.
Well, that's why I say that The Price of Love is the new sound of the Everly Brothers, and it sounds that way to me. Technically, I can't explain it, but maybe you can. What is the difference between the Everly Brothers, the late 50s, compared to the Everly Brothers mid-60s?
I think the song is one of the reasons.
Yeah, well, songs have matured. Songwriting has matured in the business considerably in the beginning. It's not... I'm no longer singing about white buck shoes and things, you know. And now it's a little bit more earthy, or not earthy, but more intellectual, you know. And not that Price of Love is.
You're right, because it gets a little awkward when you play something like what was a song Julius LaRosa had, some kind of shoes and everything, and it makes you sound like, gee, did they really wear that? You know, or did we really wear that? You know,
yeah, just kind of thinking about your red vest or something.
Yeah, you know, and the sparkly shirts, open to the navel, you know, so you should catch pneumonia.
Also, yeah, one-button roll suits. Remember those?
Oh, right.
Yeah, there was never a song about those.
I don't remember those. You guys
It's
listen
kind
to
of hard to find a rhyming couplet for that. Anyway, The Price of Love was, from my information and following the trade papers, number one in England for about 5 or 6 weeks, which is a great credit to you, and yet it still didn't get out of the bottom half of the top 100 in the country, North America.
At that time, I think it was about a year ago, wasn't it, or a year and a half ago?
Yeah.
And at that time, English just dominated the American charts and Canadian charts, I believe. And wherever, and we noticed that because Price of Love was number one in a lot of European countries,
Right.
where the English hadn't the foothold that they had here in the States.
You mean they were losing it over there themselves?
I guess, but maybe either that or they were just playing more diversified material. But here in the States for a while, it was almost impossible. You could say this record was made in England, man, and they put it on.
Right. I notice that's very true even today. Like the Dave Clark Five, who have big hits in North America, still do not have hits in England.
I know,
you know.
that's so funny.
It's
You
been
go
a
over
while
there,
for
and
them.
it's sort of surprising to see the English chart as compared.
Yeah, mostly
The same
American.
thing is with Herman, and Herman's Hermits, except he has one now that's making it over there.
Milkman or something.
Yeah, but he's had a slow period over there, which is surprising too.
I think really though that the pendulum has swung back to the American artists, people like yourselves, people like Paul Revere and the Raiders, and even Sonny and Cher, and right down the line. There's a new I think the English, if you really want to get down to it, what they did more than anything, besides the sensational act of the Beatles and their songs and material, I think what they really did was put a little jab in the arm of pop music all over the world, because it was quiet and
It was so
dull.
quiet. It was very dull and quiet. Like I believe that, and it needed something. And I think what the English injected into pop music is done it a lot of good, and it's given it a lot of acceptance. That's one of the main things that happened. In our time, it was that the adult, I think you
right.
frowned on it. They said, you know, you steal hubcaps in your spare time, you know, because
And
you
most
sang.
of the acts did.
You know, there were some few that did, but not the majority. You know, there were a lot of them that were clean-cut people, and but yet. On television shows and things, you don't get this constant harassment because your hair was too long, and it wasn't as long as now. You can wear it almost to your shoulder. Nobody says anything.
Prince Valiant is coming,
yeah,
folks.
But now, when the English did it, the Americans' view of English was always the sedate, sophisticated person anyway. And when they saw rock and roll coming out of England, they I think accepted it a lot more.
I think there was the lull there when I call it the little tiny voices that were coming out, and I don't mean to in any way imply that the singers at that time were bad or anything, but there seemed to be a lot of ballads, people like Bobby Vinton and little Johnny Crawford, who's not so little anymore, and all of these tiny voices were appealing to maybe 12 and 13-year-olds, and yet there was that undercurrent saying, give me an up-tempo song, give me that beat again, I want to dance, I don't want to sit and cry,
Yeah.
I think there was an upsurgence of belief that a theoretical good music was coming back, although the term is
It was all saying big bands were coming back.
Yeah, and big bands. Everybody was hoping, in some higher echelons of the industry, that they're still determined. One of the things that Don and I have always said over the 9-10 years that
They told us it was going to die every year. We've been in business. They said, "Man, what are you going to do next year?" Says it's going to be all over.
Yeah. Save your money, you're going to travel.
That's one of the.
But I've always wanted that when the time comes and no one rides a crest forever, nobody rides a high wave, you can only sell so many records at a peak, and then it tapers off and re-rises. You know, it's like anything, like a tide. But I always hoped that I wouldn't be one of those people that say, "Oh, I hope that the rock and roller comes back." You know?
Yeah. I'll say one thing, Phil, that obviously it isn't going to die. It's always going to be around in some style. It's part of our folklore, if you wish, now. And
Yes.
the big thing, I think, and this is a credit to the country artists and the country institution, which it is, and that is that everything else may come and go, but country goes on forever. And I think that the fact that there's so much of it in contemporary music, that it's the lasting power that's made it stay for 10 years.
I agree with that completely.
Anyway, with all of the songs you have here, so many of them, items like Till I Kissed You and things, do you have any particular favorites? I mean, records that you were pleased with and happy with yourself, regardless of the sales. Things that
Love
you
is
guys really
Strange.
love. Pardon?
Love is Strange.
The old Mickey and Sylvia thing
Yeah.
from 57.
We that was also number 2 in England, but didn't get off the ground that much here. But we I like it in particular.
It's got a message. It's bluesy, isn't it?
Yeah.
You guys really go for the sort of the blues sound. I think it's a thing you do well.
Thank you. It's in a way we gotten so we do that more than not like in our second set. We like to put a lot of easiness in the show rather than kind of hard things. But you know, a song that I particularly like, and I hear it very rarely, and because I don't play our records at home, I can't stand them. But is Lightning Express out of the songs our daddy taught us. I don't know why, but that happens to be one of my favorite. Always was when I was a kid.
Matter of fact, that was a freak thing. There was a hit out of that album. Not freak, just unique is what I'm trying to say. And I'm trying to think of the name of the song.
It could have been it.
No, well, here anyway. This minute I'm looking for it on my little card here of all of your material here. Which one was it? Something about... Oh, this is dumb, Bob. I'll cut this.
Not here to get my baby out of jail.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get requests for those kind of things. It's kind of difficult to do sometimes in a club or concert because it's not very quiet.
This is the thing, when my wife and I were down watching your performance, and she said, they must really ask them this if you're interviewing them, and I said, I will, and I just thought of it now, and so I will. Here we go. Do you not get bugged by people insisting that you do your old bag over and over and over again, all the records like Bye Bye Love, Wake Up Little Susie?
You know, that's a thing. It's been like some of those songs we've been singing for like 9 years or 8 years, and the way that you can keep them new to you is by singing them to the people. It's the audience that makes them new. It's not the song itself or the way you're doing it. It's the reaction and the feeling you'll get from an audience. And that's why I like to
If you
perform.
really, if you begin to think that the audience generally wants, if they start yelling for a certain song or one of the,
Right.
Like Wake Up Susie or Bye Bye Love, if you really get that feeling that they really want to hear it, you'll do it and enjoy doing it.
But otherwise, just to walk out and do,
Just to
it
walk
must
out for the
really
sake
get
of
to you.
just showcasing them, it's not much fun. In fact, we're going to start limiting on television the amount of those songs they want, because every time we go on television, they'll say, sing Bye Bye Love, Bird Dog, all I have to do is stream.
Right.
Right down the list, and we'll say, I can't do, I don't, just so much of those you should do, I think.
In the Warner Brothers bag, getting away from the old Cadence record thing here, some items that were very big here, Crying in the Rain, That's Old Fashioned, Kathy's Clown Naturally was a giant. Walk Right Back is one that I've always particularly liked, and if I am correct in my thinking here, composed by Sonny Curtis, am I right? What is Sonny doing now anyways?
He's working on a television show,
Swinging Country.
Swinging Country.
Huh.
He's in the band.
I know that you all, the two of you, y'all, live in Los Angeles now. Is there sort of a group of people from either Texas or the South that are all there?
Certainly
Seems
is.
to be.
There is, especially from Texas and in Tennessee. I think that Texas was responsible, a lot of people aren't aware of it, but Texas was responsible for an awful lot of music that affected the pop scene back in '57 through Buddy Holly, Buddy Knox, Jimmy Bowen,
Right.
Sonny Curtis, the Crickets, and all these people.
And the influence is still there because Jimmy Bowen is doing
A&R.
A&R at Reprise, which is all those.
That's unbelievable because I can remember Jimmy Bowen when he played a very bad bass.
Yeah,
and he was the guy that would tell you, I play a bad
Terrible
bass.
He would ride it across stage.
And he sang flat. And I
We still
think
get
I'm
him
sticking
about
with
that.
you. But he's a nice guy. Mentioning touring around the world, as the Everly Brothers have been able to see much of the world, have you been to Vietnam yet?
Yes, we were in Saigon for one day. We like one day. I think it was about total 24 hours, but It was quite spooky, really.
I think it would be. Both of you are ex-Marines, or
Yes.
one of you is standby
I'm
reserve?
still in the reserves. But the really odd part of that thing, we carry a band with us, and the road manager and all, and we always have around 20, 24 pieces of luggage. At that time, we had 24 pieces, and we were leaving on the plane, and we had 25. And nobody could figure out where the extra bag came from because it came out of the cars that we were riding in. The military police said, that's not our bag, and the military police says, let's get it out of here, because they didn't know what was in it, And they made the cab driver drive it away.
For crying
It
out
served him right, I think, because
Did you perform there?
Yes,
Yes.
it was a benefit for a orphanage that was being sponsored by the Air Force Base, Tan Son Nhut Air Force Base in Saigon. And we landed right at the Air Force Base and stayed in a private home overnight and had steaks at the mess hall. We're members of the mess there.
Could you hear the guns or anything
At
off in
night,
the
yes, you
background?
could. You could see you could hear the guns going off in the background and airplanes dropping flares and things. We sat on the roof. It was about a 4-story house, no elevator, just stairs. And we sat on the roof because we couldn't sleep really. Sort of
Fear.
a little bit of fear, a little bit of
keeps you awake.
apprehension. And we sat on the top of the roof and watched the planes fly over and drop the flares and hear the guns going off in the distance.
It'd be kind of spooky. And did you visit any of the military installations,
Well,
or
when,
hospitals or anything?
when we were playing in the Philippines, the
That's where
general
most of the casualties are.
Oh, they take them out of
They
it.
take them immediately out. And when we were in Manila, the general of Clark Air Force Base picked us up and sent us over to the hospital there, and we put a show on at the hospital.
I imagine they were a good audience.
It was a
Yes.
rewarding experience.
Yes, it
And
was.
one of the nicest things and one of my fondest memories is that.
Also, the Tan Son Nhut Air Force Base, because they were hanging in windows and from the rafters, and
It's a
it was
great
about
feeling.
130 degrees inside the building. But I never enjoyed doing a show so much.
Is this, you're doing a nightclub routine here in Vancouver at Izzy's Supper Club. How long has it been since you've been doing the nightclub circuit? Usually I remember the Everly Brothers mostly from concerts, even as, well, a year ago, 2 years ago. You even talked about Vietnam as being concert material.
Yeah, well, we still do concerts, but we have been doing clubs. Our first club dates were back in 59 and 60. And off and on, we've been doing clubs ever since.
You've had a good run here. You've been sold out every day. Of course, being Sunday, the club's not open, and you're here. But tomorrow and next week, you put on 2 shows or 3 shows or what?
2 shows every night, 3 shows on a Saturday.
3
Make us
shows.
a family
And you've
show.
got another week to go yet, right?
Yes.
Right.
So go down, folks, and if you yell loud enough, maybe they'll do Wake Up Little Susie, Bird Dog, Bye Bye Love, All I Do Is Dream, or anything like that. Look at Don and Phil. It's been a pleasure seeing you again. I know that you probably don't remember 9 years ago, but we, at that time, met when that great big tour came in with Frankie Avalon, Fats Domino, and all those people.
Cast of thousands.
Yeah, and it's funny. Everyone's gone their own way, and the Everly Brothers keep on going. And I think this is a credit to you, your talents, the fact that lasting power after 9 years and you're still selling records and you're still in demand is a credit to yourselves and your talent.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
And I hope you guys both make it back to our town again sometime.
We hope so.
I hope so.
Do you hear that, Izzy? Bring him back.